to the EMEA Masters here, a summer group stage of 2023. Still just Usheen, still joined by the absolutely nasty Nymera. Yeah, no, you're nasty now. That's just how it is. But we're coming into our final
Me
game
after
of
my
the
Baldur's Gate 3 Ranger build. Yeah.
I know what you're doing. I know you're mid-maxing like a crazy person. But coming into our final game of the day, it is going to be BKR versus DSYRE. And I mean, look, we were having a little bit of a chat just before we came off of the break. This would be a huge game to win, but that makes it all a bit harder for them to actually take that one for DSYRE. BKR are looking like a very formidable side.
So I know that at the end of the SK Prime game, we were saying, look, I know you play without fear. Maybe should have actually in that game, because some of those approaches to objectives are just a little bit too much. The problem is, against a team like BKR, I don't think you can allow them to get on even footing anywhere immediately into the game. They are so precise at finding advantages in lane and finding skirmishes. I think they have to play absolutely no holds barred, play without fear again. You need to be clinical about it, though. That's what they were missing earlier into the game. We're into the draft now, though, and that Amumu specialty of Pride Stalker going to be removed.
Yeah, definitely not allowing there, because I think the BKR game, it wasn't as if he was like crazy engages or doing some incredible stuff early. It was just the fact that he was able to take everything he wanted because his lanes were just winning outright, full stop, end of sentence. But we are starting to see, you know, kind of DSYRE focusing out some of these champions that can just kind of have that control, things like the Azir from Chekolad, which again we saw earlier today, just so potent on the champion. And BKR, they're just saying, look, we're just not going to let this top lane have its way with it. We're just going to make sure Howling gets himself a good laning phase.
That makes sense. Just stop Imperius doing his typical stuff of just roaming to kill the rest of the map, get an individual advantage if possible, but then try and affect other things. What's happening with Tristana? Chekolad's Tristana earlier in the day was absolutely obscene. You can't let that go through. Now, you might first pick it, or maybe with the Maokai ban, you're saying, well, the Tristana Maokai is the problem. With the Maokai being banned out, they will go over towards that Tristana ban themselves, though. Is that first pick? First pick, Ari.
Doing it for you.
We'll get to us that later. We'll get to us that later.
Here's a pick we'll talk about later.
We will talk about that. Yeah, 1.5 million mastery points makes it quite hard to shut up about that one. On the other side, though, Ari is not necessarily the most meta pick nowadays. This does open up the chance of something like an Ari Vi. In fairness, one of the few bad lanes which you can have as an Ari nowadays is the Tristana. That's been banned out. But if you're playing through Ari Vi Snowball topside, it is hard to do that against the Renekton and Sejuani, which are also on the top side of the map. Yes, it's not in the mid lane, but they have so much control around top river, and especially if you get a lane, like a pushing lane advantage for Howling, maybe he will start roaming down and start disrupting your combo now. Yeah,
that's the big thing now, is that you've got yourself a winning, or not even just winning, but a dominating winning kind of top lane now, as you can see the DSYRE Rakan being locked in, and the Talia gets locked in here for Chekolad. So could technically go into the bot lane. I have seen it once or twice. The Avengers bot lane, I have heard from Molecule on the old Twitter sphere, has been making its way back into professional play.
I have not seen that in ages.
I know, it's been a while, but people in those regions are definitely cooking up something fun. We'll see how Worlds ends up looking. But we do have ourselves a lover duo for DSYRE. They're giving ourselves as much of a chance they possibly can to kind of say, look, we can get this lane going. We can give ourselves as much priority as we possibly can.
Can I just say, Molecule being attached to ROG Esports, one of like the wildest teams out there. We don't need that to infect any of the rest of the world. I'm just saying it right now.
It's the collab I wanted for all my life.
that is just so out there. But yeah, with that Slayer in there now, what you're looking to do with that pick is to bait in and engage from someone like the Rakan, who does struggle into the Talia, or something like a Vi, which has actually been banned out. You can see actually both the dive junglers being taken away. I don't know. I actually feel like you have to drop one of the DSYRE or the Khan to lock in a good mid-jungle duo, because Ari without a good jungler to follow them up is not really much of a champion. Vi, Nocturne, they have been the choices of recent. What are you going with now? Do you go towards something like a Lee Sin? You don't have the Rel available either, which is another like a dive engage. You're left with a suboptimal mid-jungle duo.
We'll see if the Lee Sin is kind of something they want to go for, but yeah, I do tend to agree with you here that they are struggling to find someone, and honestly, with the kind of disruption available to the side of BKR right now, you've got the, you know, the Talia being able to put down the workaround, or you know, you've got the Alistair with the Pulverize. The Jarvan would work, but again, like I just said, there's a lot of things that can kind of stop this engage coming out here from the side of DSYRE.
So the logic is, you have the Talia, which is trying to stop people dashing in. But if you have too many dashes for her to stop all of them, one of them will get to the back line. Trying to get to the backline through 3 tanks, though, is really difficult, so they change it up a little bit. With the Darius locked in, this team composition from DSYRE is not necessarily about reaching the TYRE and whoever other AD carry is left in there now at this point. It's about killing the first target and getting resets beyond that point. That can be quite difficult, but because you have a lot of true damage from the side of that Darius and now the Wukong coming in to also muddy up that front line, this is looking like a composition which can pin someone in place and shred down one of those 3 frontliners.
Yeah, the big thing is going to be about that engage. I love having the Rakan and the Wukong combining together. They have such good dive buddy potentials, and the Ahri trying to, kind of zoom in and pick and choose her targets with that charm is kind of the idea for it here. But we'll see then with BKR going straight for the Kai'Sa, went all the way down in the draft. But again, I like this because it gives you that chance to reposition should you find yourself in a compromised position.
I liked that Sivir hover more than I did the Kai'Sa, actually, because what you're if you view it like this, right? Both these teams are now looking at killing the first target. You have the Sejuani throwing the ult forwards, maybe trying to catch out the Wukong, or maybe someone out of position like the Rakan as well at that point. Just combo into the TYRE. Alistar can do the same thing too. You want to be able to hit the backline somehow. Kai'Sa doesn't do that. Sivir's ricochets would have done. So now it is very much, all of this identity is whose first target is dying first. I'll get onto Ahri builds, which might help with that later into the game. I really don't want to see an Everfrost because of that identity, but that's how I see both these team comps interacting.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is kind of very bog standard of how these two teams want to kind of go for right now. They're very much set up in a way that is like, kind of jump in, get your CC down, get your damage onto a singular target, and then prioritize whoever's left afterwards if you have to. So these are the kind of things that we know. It's very, very cut and dry, very, very simple. But simple does not always mean easy as we come into our 6th and final game of the day. We are finishing the first of the round robin here for Group B. I believe we're quite a bit ahead of Group D, so
we have been speed running it today.
Speed running through these games, and we haven't really had that many close ones. It's been kind of, honestly, it's been kind of a bit of stompy throughout the whole day, to be perfectly frank.
And I'm sorry, we're already starting things off in a bad spot. That's Arcana Ahri in the mid lane. That skin, I call that like a B tier. That's about a B tier skin. If you'd pick, say, something like the new Midnight Ahri, that's a great skin. That would have been extra chances to win the Spirit Blossom one. Doesn't help winning if you don't get yourself a good fight here, though. But with Wukong strong level 1 with the E-Start, Checkler going to take a little bit of damage and won't have complete time. Yeah, no, should still be able to recall in time for the minions to get back into lane. Shouldn't influence that lane.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I will never question you on builds. But when it comes to styles of champions,
I have a full tier list of every single cosmetic there is for
I do not doubt that. I have no... Your obsession is unheard. It's unhinged.
Well, I think so. I'll show you next time on camera. I do have an Ahri chair, which I'm currently using.
I got an Akali one, but that's only because it was on sale. I was like, oh, cool, sale. That'll be easy. But look, we'll see how this Ahri does on the Nymera scale, if his judgment shall be swift and painless. But coming back into this one here, obviously going to see the junglers both starting on the bot side and then moving up towards the top, so might not see as much early shenanigans as we maybe anticipated.
Oh, yeah, so I think both these junglers have some angles into lanes, but it's not necessarily as easy cut and dry. Emperor's taking a good trade at level 1 as Darius is want to. With that W start allows you to get those stacks up so quickly, and especially with that Ghost, you can't afford to take a bad trade very, very early on. So Pride Stalker would like to really get towards this top side and force Jax to back off as early as possible.
Level 2 does get hit. The Root Caller comes back. Trying to see if they can get them down now. There's going to be a cleanse coming in straight away. Trigger. See if we can trade this one back. But the Kai'Sa, not exactly exceptional in those first early stages. And you can get those extra bonuses here by being the Lovers Duos. The extra range, the extra attack speed. All those little things that can add up. And you can see there that DSYRE end up coming out on top of that trade.
Particularly when the DSYRE W affects Rakan as well. A level 1 or level 2 champion, their AD, their base AD is enough to make use of those auto attacks and the auto attack buffs. So alongside the move speed as well. So taking control of that lane. I like getting spotted moving into enemy jungle, but because Emperos is moving down into the enemy jungle, Pride Stalker is not dealing with a jungle 1v1. Shekelad similarly going to be held down in mid. This is good from DSYRE, pushing lanes. Yes, Sonic takes a bad trade here, but does mean that Shekelad is not responding to jungle.
Though honestly, the bad trade isn't even quote-unquote that bad. He puts himself in harm's way to kind of say to Shekelad, look, you gotta stat check me right now because otherwise I'm going to be able to get a full rotation off, and that's exactly what Shekelad does. So just good synergy here between the top side of the jungle of DSYRE to just kind of put Pride Soccer on a little bit of a back foot. I will say, though, does mean that you end up getting a stacked wave kind of pushing into you here on the Darius. And he's going to have to be a bit more careful. That level disadvantage. Might see a flash Q coming in. Not quite going to commit to it just yet. Does get himself a little bit of a heal back. That means he doesn't have to burn any summoners of his own. Thing is, though, he hasn't got a teleport. He went with Ghost.
But he does. Now, I'm trying to remember when the Ghost changes came in. Because if it's without the reset value now, but it has a lower cooldown and a longer duration, you can Ghost back to lane, which is exactly what Empress is doing. So I'm going to assume that change is coming through. That's a Big Up V2 special. That one flash away, but don't think that's worth it now, mate.
I don't think so, because they're going to be able to chase you down and turn you into minced beef. Chicken greater than beef for the first blood, but after that, Trigger had something to say about it, and he wants some chicken wings.
Now, the problem is, when your AD carry is the one not taking damage and your support dies, AD carry still gets to do damage, so Trigger, good turnaround, gets 1 kill back. I suppose you've got to remember that this Zyre, Aeternus has picked up the Cull very early on for the starting item as well, so it means that they are willing to take it a little bit slower. We're going to see a replay of this 2v2. So how did this come together? We saw this combo come through. Double knockup tends to be really good. Flashes away from the Rakan W, but it's a flash downwards, which means that you're flashing into auto range of the Zyre. You're going to continue taking that damage. That's why it ends up leading to that kill. Maybe a bit of an overchase, though. I wonder if Nash could have got that kill alone after that point without Zyre being put in danger, but still, 1-for-1 at the end of it.
1-for-1, both AD carries picking up the kill, and not going to lose a huge amount here for the Zyre. So the wave was kind of an awkward position for the Kai'Sa to commit into, so again, not a bad start here for DSYRE. They're getting themselves a little bit of advantages now across the map, and you can see just having this lane bully in the Darius, just making sure that Howling just cannot have that kind of point and click stun to kind of harass with.
But already disaster has struck. Zonix has had their first back of the game, and that's an Amp Tome and not a Dark Seal. Now, the thing is, a lot of people complain about
you have committed a cardinal sin, my son.
It is. If there is one thing, regardless of build you do, look, Checker like a die, and that still isn't as important. He has flash, he's going to die anyway.
He's going to die anyway, but that was a nice flip back, or will he die? Because they can't fully commit to this one here, and you can see now, Zonix does end up going down. Eventually, we are seeing the Wukong committing. That's 2 kills to 1, maybe even a third, as Nash just about limps away. But I mean, that was a really close fight there. Checkala does go down, but he made everyone overcommit like crazy.
At least you've got a wave crashing in towards bot side, but Trigger's still going to pick up the most of that. You want to snowball with Wukong Ahri. That's kind of why that Dark Soul conversation does become important, because you need to try and take those first kills of the game and make it unplayable for someone that wants to scale up a little bit more, like this triple front line, like this Talir as well, to play that game. And you can see that's why they're going for this kind of play. Missing out on that, or rather mistiming the engage from Nash, so you get stopped mid-dash, the W doesn't land. That's really awkward. I wonder if Zonix should have just ran forward and just like traded another ult and auto into Talir rather than getting that Wukong to go down. But still, it's an awkward play. That snowball not off to a clean start.
Not off to a clean start, but it is still a pretty even game after all is said and done. You're having a little bit of CS differentials here or there, but outside of that, not a bad start here for BKR. And we can kind of look towards where they want to try and make things work, where they're looking to try and make their advantages, because right now, they're not unhappy with the state of the game.
Absolutely not. I think they're a team which, if it comes to an even 5v5 later without huge amounts of gold being on someone like this Darius, or maybe even someone like the Wukong actually, it's quite easy for them to just pop the Alistar ultimate, take one target for one target, and because Alistar ultimate is so effective, actually they're the best frontline in this game. Someone like Empress will not have that same degree of safety later on. So I think with an even game so far, with having that Talir and Kai'Sa not being locked out of early lane, I think the LFL players, they're feeling pretty happy here.
Even happier if they can get this dragon, which shouldn't be any kind of contention right now. You've got priority in bot, priority in mid, and everybody's going to be able to roam up here without any real contest. But do you want to go for a fight? The top laners are going to be completely isolated, and they're looking to try and maybe make this one work. Normally we see this fight around Rift Hell, but now they're committing to it. We're going to see Ahri diving in, getting some good, decent damage on the Checo lad, and DSYRE get themselves the dragon. That is a great steal coming in, and DSYRE just recognizing, hey, we're still very, very powerful.
Forces Chocolate to back as well, so he won't be here to push in a mid-wave or contest this Herald towards the top side, and that could actually be the bigger win, because DSYRE, yes, you want to be taking objectives to maybe force a soul later on, but you also need to have gold in pockets. They don't walk away with huge amounts of kills or a 4-0 team fight or something explosive like that, but taking Dragon, which extends the game in regards to mutual objectives, and then also getting the injection of cash which you can get from that Herald is very important too.
Very, very important to the Sonics, and his jungler just keeping themselves very honest here. They're going to get the full resets off as well. And this is the thing, when you get this uncontested Herald, it means you can go for resets. It means you can get it back on the map as quick as you physically can, and that's what makes the difference a lot of the times in these situations, is timings, is tempo. And it does feel like DSYRE are kind of happy with the tempo right now. It doesn't mean that BKR can't come back into this, but I mean, right now, the proactive plays are being made by DSYRE.
They are, especially around that bot side of the map, and we did say that they need to play without fear. Charm just misses there, unfortunately for him at that point, but again, them playing towards these aggressive trades, it makes a lot of sense for them. They have a composition which will be harder to play the later the game goes on. Getting golden pockets will very much help them right now.
We'll see what they want to try and do here now. We can see Howling recognizing, hey, if you guys are all bot lane now, we could have a little bit of priority. Doesn't really have a lot of vision, though, so needs to be a bit more careful. They do have the Weaver's Wall to maybe make a little bit of a skirmish, and as I say that, almost like magic, we might see themselves go for something here, and oh, you would love if the Wukong stays. He needs to stay, otherwise this could be a really bad situation for the Darius.
He's got Cyclone as Relic. What's he going to do here? Is he going to try and tank something up? Trying to disengage right now.
They're going to look for him, though, and it's going to be a 3v2 right now. The double Cyclone comes in. Oh, the Apprehend brings everybody right back into it. And look at the minimap. They're all roaming up. You're in a terrible position here as BK ROG. And then they're going to flash Chocolate, realizing immediately he's in a bad situation. Now they go forward. They're going to try and jump on the Pride Stalker. There's the Charm. Not quite going to land on the Howling, but he's going to eventually just have to run away from this one here. And DSYRE are building up some momentum.
Okay, so Relic, very importantly, does not recall. Chocolate trying to use his priority for the first time in this game to get a play before Relic and Zonix can turn up. They get themselves a kill. Now, if DSYRE is left alone on this turret, that's a little awkward, but once again, who's here? It's Relic.
Yeah, but I mean, this is going to be hard enough to try and go for. There's the cleanse, there's the Featherstorm coming out right now. They can try and turn this one back. He's got a Kraken Slayer and he's got the damage. DSYRE are taking the fight to BK ROG, and there's just no more escape for you here. Zonix is saying, hey, buddy, where are you going? You're going to either get me or you give it over to the Wukong. I'll take that kill, thank you very much. And this game is starting to turn on its head, Nymera.
MVP, Wukong in the jungle. Relic completely saves both sides of the map, and now that gold we wanted them to have in pocket, it's starting to build up. They have a Herald. They might not necessarily drop it here, but they're going to get themselves one plate. That'll probably be 3 total beyond that point, but Pride Stalker gets himself the kill. They're going to try and trade back a little bit of damage, but nothing else after it. Pride Stalker with the flash invested does make sure he gets himself that kill, so I feel like BK ROG needed that just to slow down the tempo. But I mean, again, like you said, MVP Wukong, he's covering top, he's covering bot, he's everywhere. If DSYRE was left alone on this bot side of the map, BK ROG can really start to snowball through this Kai'Sa, who might be able to get a lot of gold beyond this point. Managing to get in the way to body block skill shots, tanks up that W, getting to the extra damage as well. Even without the Cyclone, being in the right place at the right time is such a great skill. Zonix gets even more kill participation as well. That's important for that Ahri. Got something, of course, to talk about as we come out of replay, though. Has finished the Everfrost and has only picked up the Dark Seal. Dark Seal is good before you get involved in kills, because you get AP stacking with it. Each stack is another 4 AP. With the kills that they have so far, would have had an extra 16 AP, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to assassinate people, it really helps. If you're trying to kill the first target as well, very interested to see now how this build will influence the game.
Oh, Emperus has flash. Will he be able to get away? Oh, the flash away!
Oh.
But now he's caught between a rock and a hard place, or I should say ice and a hard place. And that is going to be a kill back there. I like the fact that he went for it. He was feeling himself a little bit too much, though, and he does get punished.
If he hit that Q, the healing, maybe with the ult onto him, maybe it could have led to something special. And if we're going to credit Relic for this as well, on the other side, Pride Stalker picking off Relic beneath that bot lane turret, turning up towards top side, stopping Emperus from popping off as well. Just as important.
We've seen him now kind of push into this bot side. And again, this Alistar's tanky, but is he that tanky? I don't think he is. He's not respecting the pure amount of people that are just shoveling all their damage into him. And that is going to be an easy kill back. And this is BK ROG making mistakes. They're really underestimating DSYRE right now.
This is underestimating them playing without fear. Pridestalker going to answer again, though.
They're going to look for the trap. Oh, not quite able to get away from this one, though. And that's going to be Nash just about dashing away. Pridestalker doesn't have his ult, doesn't have a flash. There's a Talia wall coming in as well. Chekalad is in a position to try and take this one. The flick back isn't good enough, though. And Chekalad is down. This Monkey King is king of everybody right now, and you will bow before your master. This is insane from DSYRE. They're calling all of BK ROG's bluffs.
Zonix has ult as well. He can start setting up.
Flash.
Remember, he does have that flash. He has Everfrost, which means that BK ROG don't want to get locked up for the rest of that team. But what an awkward series of events for BK ROG on that bot side of the map. Where are we going to start with this? I guess we're going to start with the dive after Alistair dies. So Trigger flashes, but still gets rooted. It's a bit of a tight angle there. You can see it's a little bit awkward in regards to when the feathers hit him in that flash animation. A couple of them have been dragged through before that third one hits after that flash. And then Chekalad is the person who ruins parties with a guitar. He says, anyway, here's Weaver's wall, gets it broken over his head, while it completely takes him to town.
I can't believe I saw it coming, and I was just like, "There's no way. There's no way he's gonna say it's Weaver's wall." God damn it!
Too well.
Oh Lord, it's just too funny sometimes. But after all is said and done, the dragon does get confirmed by the side of BK ROG. We are going to have a Mountain Rift, very, very good for either side. To be perfectly honest, thinking of either a Necton or a Darius, or even a Wukong or a Sejuani with that buff, and it becomes obnoxious to try and deal with. But we'll see what they can do right now. 2,500 gold ahead. There is a Rift Herald to spawn. And already we see the bot lane already in position here for the side of DSYRE.
Now, more importantly, if anyone does have parody lyrics for Wonder's Wall, Weaver's Wall version, let me know. That's very important to me right now. Just as it's very important that Herald's been taken out. See, quick tangent, back to game.
This is the thing as well. Like, I think this is something that we've seen a lot from the PG Nats across both days. Yesterday from Matchgo and today, of course, from DSYRE, is that they play their game. And yeah, sure, there's a lot of, there's a lot of merit to the teams being able to play all different styles and all different champions and stuff like that. But I mean, the Wukong kind of fell out of meta for the last while. But yeah. I mean, Fed Champion still Fed Champion. Like, Fed Champion's still going to do damage. And I think Kanavi at MSI kind of proved that to a lot of people. A Fed Wukong is still mighty scary.
Yeah. Well, he even kept playing it into, even though it had fallen off in exactly the same way, he started pulling that out towards the end of summer as well. It felt like some of the great Wukong players across the world felt like they were still angles. People forget about Wukong. He is the best scaling damage jungler at the pro level because he will damage all of your team all at once with Cyclone. He will very much one-shot you once he gets beyond points, and the Divine Sunder is such a big spike. Howling might find that spike getting rammed into places it shouldn't belong if he was stayed over long, but not in this case.
In this case, we're going to see Zonix have his ult available to him, so he should be able to flash away from that last one. Yeah, so 2 ultimates burned, an ult and a flash burned there by the mid laner of DSYRE. But now that you know that the bot lane has been kind of covered by the jungler of BK ROG, you can go straight up for this top side. That's going to be a free tower in trade. Imagine is going to be able to kind of get this one here. Good charm on the Chekalad, and he gets cut up, stunned up onto the turret, but can he get the damage down? He cannot! The aggro is just outside of the range to be able to catch him there with the Everfrost, but Shirley's still going right now. They're going to be able to get a second charge easy as well, so DSYRE not letting this one go just yet, and they are still 3,000 gold up.
So Chekalad managing to get an advantage towards his bot side. It's a close run thing. I'm just going to say it. Imagine if that Dark Sail was picked up before those kills had come through. That would have been a dead Chekalad. It's these micro moments in these build paths and decision making which can lead to important moments in the pro stage. It's going to lead to a full tower. It's going to lead to more minions lost for Zonix.
Trade of towers at the moment, but there's a TP coming in here. You can see Zonix wants a little bit of revenge. He's going to be there on time. He doesn't have the ult, so doesn't know where he is. Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate.
Just used an ult charge as well.
Yeah.
Tried to get something for it. Doesn't get it.
Unfortunate. Hey, look, you're not going to lose anything off that. It's 2 minutes till Dragon, 2.5 until Baron. There's no real objective on the map apart from these mid lane turrets and maybe a tier 1 on top side. So
and also
not
level 11 and has CDR as well. So you've got the cooldown boots, you got yourself Phoenix Codex as well. So it's still a lower cooldown on the ult than it could be.
Yeah, he's probably taking Cosmic Insight, I imagine, as well.
Oh, no, I think Ultimate Hunter from what I saw as well. So
yeah, I mean, like, even his teleport. Yeah, even his teleport's on like a less than 300-second cooldown at this point, so not the worst thing in the world. Pridestalker finds an isolated Darius and forces him to flash back over towards his mid lane turret. And this is where BK ROG seem to be getting a little bit more fun, a little bit more into things right now. The top lane turret does get confirmed here by Howling because he has the teleport. He's the one with the priority in the movement, but this Alistar's forced to use his ult sooner rather than later, that could spell disaster. You can see DSYRE trying to make most out of the fog of war.
Now, they have the pushing lanes closer to the Dragon. Yeah, sure, when it comes to Baron later, we'll see how things switch up in regards to who's pushing lanes where. See, they've gone deep into the enemy jungle, though. Relic is trying to be cheeky. Doesn't have himself that second item yet, the Black Cleaver. That will be a huge spike for him as well. Really interested to see how BKR choose to investigate this Dragon, right? They've got to try and make an approach somehow. They're heading back towards it. They're in time if they so wish, and they have themselves pretty much every important summoner there is available to them as well.
And you can see now as well how Howling, just kind of moving himself towards that bot side, recognizing, hey, I've already pushed in the top, Darius has now answered, I have to go back and it's a push and pull, it's a tug of war really in that top side to try and kind of catch themselves out there as Imperos tries to make the most out of the champion he has, and again, he has to be with his team. If you get this Darius with a couple of resets, he almost had a pentakill earlier in the first game of the day, I believe, for DSYRE. So this is definitely a huge moment available here for the side of DSYRE, especially around this Dragon in 10 seconds.
As you can see, that resets are coming through DSYRE. They've tried to spend as much gold as possible. You have a Radiant Virtue, importantly, onto Nash. You don't have first item for this Alistar on the other side. That could be important too. Very valuable item.
2 items here onto the DSYRE means that Navori Quickblades, excuse me, are definitely going to make it run. And you can see now Howling maybe looking for a TP flank. There's not great wards for them. And yeah, I mean, ROG just going to say, look, we give this one up. We try and take some damage onto this tower. And that's just great kind of pressuring from DSYRE. They did their due diligence. They dotted their I's. They crossed their T's. They get the Dragon.
They get that Dragon, but you're giving up, how much are you giving up at this top lane out of turret, right? Because that's going to be a big chunk. Now, you probably can't leave that unattended. And on the side of BKR, if this Renekton manages to hold the Jackson aside, not the Jackson, the Darius, they're the same champion, right? No, split push champions. If you manage to hold that Darius in a side lane, then suddenly one big part of DSYRE's composition doesn't have nearly as much to play around.
See already the full fruition of that 1500 gold lead leading to a Last Whisper already between the two AD carries. Basically, that's just the only difference, but that can be the key. Yeah. BrightStalker finally finishing up his Radiant Virtue. We have the Black Cleaver here for the Wukong. Plenty of damage to be available. It does feel like we're starting to build towards a boiling point. It's no longer a 3,000 gold lead. It's only about a 1,500 gold lead, so that's gone down by half. This is where the game can start to really break open because the game is starting to get longer and longer. Death timers are starting to get longer and longer.
One bad fight takes this lead completely away. This is where BKR, their team composition is coming online now. 2 items on their carries, especially with so much damage on the Slayer as well. Luden's into Death Gap. That is such a strong 2-item spike. Even has the Dark Seal with a couple of stacks in as well. Zonix had to sell his on the other side. Shekelad could really carry these fights. So DSYRE, they cannot misstep. They need to play this fight very carefully.
Yeah, they know the Baron has been started. It's going down fairly quickly. There's a good Everfrost to try and stop BrightStalker, but they get the TP, they back away. That's all they wanted. They didn't need anything else. They're going to commit the ultimate from BrightStalker, which is going to force the feathers to fly. Howling is in the backside here, just pop the Dominus, but a Ghost gets used straight away. And they know that it's all been used. Everybody just kind of backing themselves away. Funny enough, very little damage done, but a hell of a lot of ults burned.
I think as soon as that damage starts to get done by BKR, though, someone dies on DSYRE. They need to be the ones to take the first target. BrightStalker doesn't have ults, but does have the potential to maybe flash Q someone, and that's Nash caught.
Oh, Nash gets caught, but he's still a Rakan with DSYRE, so he's got plenty of range here with that Battle Dance. Now we're going to see a little bit of a movement. Everyone just posturing to find an angle, but everyone being so respectful in response. Nobody going too far forward just yet. And DSYRE, they might go straight back towards this Baron. A lot was used here on the side of BKR.
Now, you can see that BKR haven't started recalls yet, though. If there had been a recall come through, this would have been disaster for them. They're still here in the same area of the map, though. Alistar ult, importantly available.
Here we go, though. 4,000 HP. Here we go. We're going to try and get 3-man knockup from Nash. The goes, it's stolen! They get it away. BKR get the Nash, but can they get the fight afterwards? We're going to see Trigger blinding himself in now. It's going to be 2 kills straight away, though. It's going to be 2 dead on the side of this one here. Good flash here from the Wukong to stop him getting seismic shoved back. But DSYRE get 2. They lose the Baron. It's still a great trade for BKR.
BrightStalker saving the fight. The Baron steal is so critical. They do lose 2 in the fight, but if they'd lost that Baron as well, DSYRE would have turned on the afterburners and blown away with the rest of this game. After that, you could see that some of the damage from BKR on their carries started to become really important beyond that point. Now DSYRE, what do you do at this point? That felt like the fight which was going to decide the game. You've come away worse for wear even with the kills.
Yeah, you have mitigated this Baron buff, but you have not stopped it. Now, minute 30 until the Dragon spawns. They will have Baron for that entirety of that, and you can see it there, just trying to make something work. They would love to take down this mid turret. This tier 1 is so obnoxious to deal with against something like a Kai'Sa and a Talia. They just have an instant wave clear to be able to try and push it back. So this game getting closer and closer. Let's have a look at how close this got.
Oh man, you can see that Zonyx, he's trying to play blocker, but you don't have threats onto these frontliners, right? This is not a frontline killing build, and that was my worry about it, right? The Everfrost does minimal work, it can't keep them out of the pit. But suddenly beyond this point, you can at least see DSYRE managed to kill the first target. That's what they're meant to do, especially with DSYRE. If DSYRE is the one doing the damage, they have themselves something to work around. Maybe that can work for them later, but it's not enough to secure the Baron this time.
45 seconds till Dragon. You would imagine that DSYRE will probably just let this one go. There's just no real threat of a Dragon Soul right now. They did unfortunately lose a hell of a lot off their Xayah in that last fight. They don't even have the summoners back just yet, so waiting for this one to go for, but they don't have vision control right now, and they need to be very careful because there's an awful lot of BK ROG just sitting here looking for an engage, and they'll find it. The knockback is good, and they will find Sonics with nowhere else to go. Good damage here from the Xayah. Not really able to make anything else stick. It's all back into the Alistar. And everybody just backs themselves away. They're going to push it towards this mid lane. It should be cleared pretty easily, but I mean, look, this is starting to feel like BK ROG are building back their own momentum.
Who can face check really from the side of DSYRE? You've got, what, a Wukong clone? That's about it. And it wasn't right like the one clearing out the vision at that point. BK ROG, they take one Baron steal, even with lost kills beyond that point, and they have completely taken the game into their favor. The draft was always going to be like that. If they could keep even and go towards later game fights, they were going to be at the advantage versus what DSYRE had put on the table. But seeing how well they've taken that opportunity and now taken the Dragon on top of it, it's very exciting for them to see. They were challenged in the early game, but now it feels like they're really at advantage.
Yeah, you got 3 items on the Xayah though, and slowly building up for Trigger as well, so we'll see how this one all kind of goes. Looking for that Phantom Dancer build. You know, took me a while to figure out that Hearthstone Axe does actually build into Phantom Dancer now. Seems a bit weird.
Axe.
Or Hearthbound. Not Hearthstone. That's a completely different thing entirely.
Yeah.
Hey man, I play Legends of Runeterra. Alright, I used to be Diamond in it.
Can you tell what deck I play in Legends of Runeterra?
I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe it's an Ahri deck.
Believe it or not, that's what I play.
You know, I just play Darius, Elise, Spiders, Rush, and then if I don't win in 4 turns, I give up. That's just how I play.
It's
full
like
aggro.
DSYRE's composition. You just got to get that early lead.
Gotta get the early lead.
Sadly, it's not ended by turn 4, so it's going to be very hard. Look, they have themselves a lot of damage still if they hit the right targets. It's just so hard to find those right targets. The front line from the side of BK ROG are so much stronger than DSYRE's right now, particularly with Pride Stalker at multiple items, double Righteous Virtues as well, so you can kind of spread them out and get healing from both of them on those ultimates too. DSYRE, if they're hitting the first target, DSYRE needs to be doing an awful lot of legwork, and they can do that, but them getting into position to do that without getting nuked by Checkalad, that's going to be the difficult part.
And look, it's not impossible for the side of DSYRE. It's very difficult, but it is definitely not impossible. As we can see them now just trying to make something happen here towards this mid lane. Nice little movement there. Taxi on the...
Movement? Did you really?
I actually didn't intend that one. What was it? Yeah, again, this mid lane turret is kind of becoming the bane of DSYRE's, you know, kind of existence right now. They're just really not able to kind of push any further than the river because they have this tier 1 just sitting there, keeping their line of vision, you know, kind of from pushing forward.
And difficulty added on top of that too, because you've lost all of your outer turrets and DSYRE are struggling to push up, and if they do push up, they're probably pushing into enemy vision. Checkalad can turn up to the play with an ult or with a teleport. It does feel like DSYRE, they've really been hemmed in across the map now. That lost Baron, the steal there, it felt like that was such a dagger in the back of the PGNS team.
Yeah, look, you're losing all your tier 2s now. There's not really a lot you can do. Your wave clear isn't exactly exceptional from anyone except DSYRE, and even then she kind of has to put herself in harm's way to make that one work. So right now everyone just kind of building up mass right now. Phantom Dancer finished up for Trigger, so he is 100% online for the moment. I love all these stopwatches though. DSYRE are recognizing There's a hell of a lot of damage to be coming at them right now. If they can just delay it, they can just stall, maybe get someone to overcommit, they could find themselves a good angle.
Okay, so DSYRE, they're trying to take over control of the Baron area by grouping up everyone, shoving mid, and trying to push in mid as quickly as they can. Checklight uses the ult to counter that. This is going to be about who can kill the first target more quickly, but with Checklight doing so much more damage than Zonix, it feels like it's their advantage.
Here we go, they're going to jump in here on the Pride Stalker, take a lot of damage on top of him. He's not dead just yet, but they are getting the Cyclone. The knockback was only onto the Clone, as we can see Nash on the backside, but he'll sacrifice his life. So much damage being thrown out there. The Root Caller is good, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. Yes! Eventually the bleed comes in and now the reset's gonna happen. There's the first of the stopwatches as DSYRE goes in and gets taken out by the kites, and Trigger is just that Trigger happy. One more bonk in the head will kill him, but he's just not going down. Finally he does, but it's a 3 for 5 and that's gonna be Baron again for BKR.
BKR just do more damage. They just are able to take more damage. It is so much easier to kill the Rakan than it is to kill the front line of the LFL team. They're going to take themselves a 5 for 3 fight, and it feels really like DSYRE have just been outscaled.
Yeah, it does feel like, you know, they got everything going for them there. Just wasn't enough. Even the stopwatches that came out just weren't there to try and, you know, help them out with it. And unfortunately for DSYRE, this game is starting to slip away. Let's have a look at exactly how this fight, because again, they think they find Pride Stalker, but he's so tanky.
He does, and also Zonix isn't built to kill frontline. This was always my worry. If you're looking to kill that Sejuani, you can't be building Everfrost and then the Horizon focus afterwards. You need a Leandries, you need something else. Because of that, and the amount of time bought by the side of BKR's frontline, it allows them to take their little bit more time in safety to kill them and roll forwards after. Yeah, great damage from this DSYRE when it gets towards the later part of this. Sure, don't get me wrong, great stuff when you're peeling back around DSYRE, but the Kai'Sa is online too now. You're not uncontested.
Unfortunately as well, with Zonix going for such a much more utility-based build, it kind of just feels unfortunate that when you do miss those Qs, it just feels that so much worse because you're just, the little damage you could have done is no longer there. You know, and again, he's been sitting on this kind of 2.5 items now for quite a while. It hasn't really gone anywhere. You can tell he's probably trying to build up towards a death cap of something, but it's just not happening.
You can see individual advantage, 3,500 golden advantage for Checklight. If Checklight hits anything onto anyone else, they die. If Zonix hits a charm onto Pride Stalker, it is a Tuesday for him.
Yeah. I would love to know what Pride Stalker's Tuesdays is like, but Dragon going to be confirmed here, you would imagine. No one from DSYRE really in a position to try and contest this. They see everybody on it, they know what's happening. They will get the roar of its death to confirm. 5,000 gold lead. Baron has been confirmed. They are still pushing in on top of this one here as well. They've only got 2 Baron buffs left, so they have got a little bit of time to kind of, you know, work with this. And there are still opportunities available here to DSYRE, but they're few and far between.
And speaking of those opportunities, the one which you're going to look for the most is BKR pushing too far and allowing a flank teleport to come through, or a flank just in general, right? It doesn't have to be the teleport now, he's not the best flank champion. You need a way into the backline, getting killed like this, that's not how you do it.
Yeah, it's not how you do it, but he's not dead just yet, and now you can see Nash finally going down, but it's a trade of support for support. That's not a bad trade. Trigger taking a huge amount of damage, but they've still got Baron up mid. As you can see, DSYRE trying to put in the work, finally getting into Pride Stalker and doing some decent work there, but the charm is just going to be blocked by a minion. So unfortunate. Zonix goes a bit too far forward, has to flash away, but when Pride Stalker's gone a bit too far in, it's a trade of a 2 for 1 though, because Checkalad is Checka-Chad, because he is massive right now.
He is so online on this Taliyah, and we were hearing it before this event. BKR are a well-rounded team, but if you gotta pick a star, it's that man in the mid lane. This Taliyah has been such a force.
Yeah, it's just been an absolutely monstrous pick, and you can see there, 4 items completed with the death cap in there just for good measure versus sometimes of a death cap, and that's just kind of sums up where Zonix has been so far this game. He's just not been able to have that same kind of level of impact as his opposite number. Howling, you gotta be careful here, mate. Yes, you have health, you have shields, but that's still a DSYRE who's still putting in work. They'll get the GA. This could be a moment here from DSYRE. They haven't lost any inhibitors, and that's the big thing right now. The knockup is good, but the knockback from the Weaver's Wall is better. The flash is good, and they try to make this work. The feathers go flying. Howling is dead, and this is refusing to die. DSYRE refuse to let this one go away. Needs to get him knocked back, and they will. Triple kill for DSYRE.
Teleport.
This is being teleport. This could be everything. If they can get away the Alistair, he's forced to flash away. They haven't got minion waves that can't end the game, but what can they get?
What can they get? Well, there's no objectives up, so all this is going to be is a couple of towers pushed. Because they don't have pushing waves, it's not going to be the really end of anything. Still an Alistair ult. This isn't going to lead to a kill there, but DSYRE, this brings them one step back from the brink. It's a lot of gold in pocket. Just a minute ago, it was even between the AD carries. Aeternus, after that triple kill, gets almost 3,000 gold in pocket.
Aeternus is just massive right now. He is the carry. He is everything for this team. And he is the one who's trying to crawl this one back. BK ROG, you're not done with this one just yet.
I mean, it's like, she's everything. He's just Ricard. That's just the nature of this duo. And it feels like, you know, Nash gets himself right into the backline again. But how the heck does this happen? What happens that BK ROG gives so much of a runtime and auto-attack uptime to this DSYRE? The one person that could give you trouble is Aeternus right now. And they just run straight into that DSYRE. I feel like they haven't had a proper team fight against the DSYRE yet. I don't think they've first-hand experience in this game. The amount of damage they can pump out. Then they get shown it right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Checkalad running away. You're never going to be able to outrun a Darius with Ghost. That's just how it is. Triple kill means that you're just feeling so much more confident. It's going to be a 6-item DSYRE, which means coming into the next fight, it is a 6-item DSYRE. Doesn't have Flash, doesn't have Cleanse, but my God, does she have the damage. And this is starting to get very, very scary. I will say for Trigger, he kind of got a bit greedy in the last one. Really wanted to try and kill off Nash. And just honestly, with the Weaver's Wall coming out, he should have just left.
Yeah, he should have done. But either way, Trigger goes down and Aeternus has a second life to play with. And as the one person on this team who's doing really significant damage, adding an extra difficulty for someone like Trigger to fly in and just one-shot them really, really helps. Sonics has finally reached the death cap, but they are, you know, an item and a half behind Checkalad, who's almost certainly got another item waiting when he gets back to base next time he goes. He's fighting around this mid lane again, though. We're looking for an engage. What are we finding here?
Howling looking for Emperus. He does have Flash. It might have to use it. Yeah, Flash for Flash there. Howling looking to try and push in, but those feathers are definitely far too deadly for him. And this is DSYRE saying, look, we've covered the mid lane. We've done our due diligence. We can now go towards this Baron. They're looking to try and see if they can catch anybody else out. Nash does dash away. Doesn't have that for a couple more seconds. It's level 14. This Baron is taking so much damage so quickly. Aeternus does get knocked up, but nobody there to follow up on top of him. Checkalad gets jumped in, and that's only the Alistair. Returning the mid speed. The main resets the double kill. And now everyone for BK ROG is running for their lives. If you are a massive fan of the PG Nat, you need this fight to go well. They've gotten 2, they lost 1, and they do get themselves the Baron. The game is not over yet, Nightmare. We're still going.
It's sole point for BK ROG as well. We hadn't even been talking about that because the game felt like it was over. It felt like BK ROG could end it. They get themselves a Mountain Soul despite losing that Baron. It's still something for them. They can't steal the Baron this time. The game somehow goes on. Reminder, DSYRE's composition, it's not great in this late game. Against this team, they find it hard to kill that kill the front line, especially if Checkalad is in range doing damage. They just about managed to kill off the front line and get Darius resetting this time before that becomes an issue. You're going to see this in the replay, right? Feels quite eerily similar to the way that we saw this before. Trying to stop the front line from reaching that Baron pit, trying to zone off the back line. Nash once again can't quite get that backline himself, but he does force Checkalad to fly backwards. That gives a little bit of time for DSYRE to walk forward and get some damage.
I mean, the fact that you can see it there, the front line's great for BK ROG, but as soon as it goes down, Trigger and Checkalad have to back away. They can't sit there. With Baron, this Mountain Soul won't do a lot, to be perfectly honest. And look at this goal ground. Feels like home, Nightmare, for us. As we can see, it just kind of back and forth right now. And everybody's starting to get a little bit more antsy. Everyone's starting to get a little bit more kind of, you know, nervous about how this next play goes. You're missing on summoners. Aeternus didn't have Flash for that last play, by the way. He's still waiting for it to come back up, but he should have a full palette of summoners before the next fight really kicks off.
And I was just about to mention that for the front line of BK ROG as well. Howling traded Flash for Flash before that last one. Renekton without Flash in late game really struggles. Someone like Pridestalker as well. I think we're at the point now where even with the items, they could just get one shot by Aeternus, DPSing them down, especially if there's a Black Cleaver Shred on top of that Lord Dominic's Armor Shred too. So there are mistakes that can be made from the side of BK ROG. There are definitely ways where this AD carry of DSYRE can carry them.
Yeah, we are going to see them now jumping in, see if they can make themselves a bit of a burger. They are going to knock back Nash, who does almost go down, but they don't kill him off just yet. Empress taking a huge amount of damage here from Trigger. They're trying to jump back on top of him. He will get the GA and will get Nash as well. That's technically 2 deaths now up to the side of DSYRE as he looks to try and get the resets going. Aethernaut hasn't really got not many places to go. Checkalad trying to make this one work. BKR do take the fight to the fight, and they know exactly how much damage they can do. Checkalad is Checo-chan as he gets himself the shutdown of DSYRE. That's got to be the game.
Well, some hope was given by the PG Nats team, but what can you do when it gets to late game against this BKR draft and this BKR team as a whole, this roster, they clutch it out in the late game. They're going to walk home 3-0 from the first round robin.
3-0, but they had to work for a DSYRE. They're going to be feeling bittersweet about this one here. Bitter that they lost, sweet that they made it so competitive. Probably our first competitive game of the day, if I'm being totally honest. 40 minutes, 19-21 in kills. Only 2k goal between them, but at the end of it all, it is still the LFL number 2 going to top of the group.
I think DSYRE are going to be kicking themselves. It really feels like that mistake around that first Baron where the steal came through, that's what put them onto this perilous path downwards. And yes, I do have issues with the build of the Ahri as well. 5k down individually, that's another issue there, but I think there was a bit of a misconception with DSYRE and how they needed to play this game. It felt like they needed to kill that first target, and I don't think everyone was playing towards that. I think that Darius being behind obviously stopped Emperor's getting so easily ahead as he's done in some other games and just so wonderfully taking over the map. They do walk away with a loss. They just about clutched it out a couple of times, which is fun to see, but they need to do better than that if they want to try and progress from this groups, man.
That's a lot of damage right there from DSYRE. Aethernaut, unfortunately, not able to make it turn into a win. But I mean, look, it did feel like, you know, BKR had to find creative ways of doing it. They found one opportunity, one moment to seize everything they ever wanted. I'm not going to go down that road, but it is just kind of, it was literally just one mistake where Nash and Emprios just got themselves caught out. They were just isolated away from the team, and you're looking at a Xayah who doesn't have her Rakan. That's just such an easier fight for you to be able to take, and then they were kind of hemming and hawing. They were able to separate them out. Very well isolated there from BKR, but I mean, look, DSYRE, still got to give them props. They gave it a hell of a run, but BKR just a little bit too strong right now.
I think that DSYRE, they had themselves a good game plan in a lot of ways, right? Snowball the early game, use these champions which can force fights very easily, and then try and walk away into something like a Baron when it comes up. They couldn't quite get that last part done, though. This part was great. I mean, I think particularly Rylock had such a good early game. Turned up to protect Dive's top lane. Was on the bot side of the map too for important moments. This was almost so great for DSYRE.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't a beat. Steal comes through, they walk away with 2 kills, but if they walk away with that Baron buff, we could be sat with PG Nats taking another victory against the LFL. It happened for Matchgo against Karmine Core, it could have happened here, but not to be.
Yeah, it looks like they still got one thing, but look, a 1-2 scoreline, not the worst way to be ending your day, especially considering you're kind of an unknown factor coming into this particular group. But and I mean, it's a tough group to say the least, with BKR and of course the Prime League #1 seed with SK right up there as well. So does give you a lot to do, though. Does mean that they need to come into this next series or next day or two and just kind of really hone in, because again, I think again, like you say, it's a little bit bittersweet. But I mean, for BKR, they're happy with the 3-0. Still plenty of improvements to have, though, because this was not clean.
I think you can tell how close to the game this was by how long the highlights are. We have been in here for a little while right now, and yeah, this was a little bit closer than BKR would have liked to, especially once they took that Baron. That should have been the end of the game. And I think it serves to show that gods can bleed. Even the strong teams and groups can definitely make mistakes. As we talk about, this was the late game mistake, which Trigger really pulled it as well. Managed to get so much damage down. Trigger had a really strong game. For me, I actually think the MVP of this game, I think it has to be Checkalad because the amount of punches came through. Special shouts out to Pride Stalker, though. Pride Stalker, similarly to Rylock on the other side, in the right place at the right time, being a great front line, being a great initiator, and just being where he needed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we are coming to the end of our coverage for group number B. It's not a number, it's a letter. It's not a number. It's not a number. But we had a number of games and we had a number of fun times, Nightmare, and that's all that matters. But yeah, you can see there, BKR getting themselves right up at the top of the group for the moment. As you can see, they are actually the only French team to currently still be undefeated here in the main stage.
Well, that's a little bit of a fun one. Now, the thing is, that's all well and good to turn to. It's like, oh, haha, LFL teams are not undefeated right now. But thing is, though, when it comes to second round robins, and then when it comes into the knockouts as well, like, it's like the same thing we talk. It's the same way that you talk about, say, when you look at Worlds in the past with the previous formats, when it's like, oh, but then an LCK or an LPL team dropped a game hit. Yes, do that again. See how that works out. Second round robin, it is no less easy than the first.
Yeah, well. Yeah. It's definitely
no less hard. No less hard.
Yes, there we go.
That's the one word.
But we got ourselves some more games tomorrow. We are going to be rounding out Group C. That is what we are going to be broadcasting here on the main channel. It's one group every day. We're going A, B, C, D. You might notice a pattern. But we're going to be starting off with Machko versus Carmine Corp. That is a massive, massive game. A rematch from the upset, if you will. And we'll see if Carmine Corp can get himself some revenge.
And can I just say, that is such a emotive matchup too. Back in 2022 spring, Machko were the underdogs. They were going 0-6 in groups, but they were doing it with style. They were playing without fear, much like we're talking about the PGs Nats now. Back then, the Carmine Corp fans rallied behind them to say, you know what, we appreciate this team playing with guts, playing without fear. Now they get to face each other. Machko beat them the first time. There is something just really fun about seeing these, not just ERL rivalries, but sometimes an ERL friendship adding something to a matchup.
Oh, absolutely. We're all about the banter and all about the friends and the enemies and such like, the villains and the heroes of the piece. But we got to talk about some heroes today. As we got the LVM support play of the day. And I believe it was going to, I'm 99% sure it's going to be an Alistair play. Yeah, it's going to be an Alistair play here as we get ourselves a nice little move. Actually, no, it's Nash. Nash getting the 3-man knockup.
It's that, you know what happens just after this? It's the play which kind of wins the game for BK ROG. You can highlight in on that 3-man knockup.
What a great support for the other team.
But the Baron steal just after, oh God. The Baron steal just after was really the play which could have won that game. It's heartbreaking if you're a PG Nats fan, or if you're kind of watching kind of for the underdog story. I understand that, but like the fact that a game can come down to those split-second moments is kind of why I watch a lot of these competitive games too. It's so exhilarating to watch. Yeah, it really is. But I believe that is all the time we have for today on this particular stream. But the League of Legends has not ended just yet. Head on over to twitch.tv/ESLOL if you want to catch the last game or so in Group D. But for the moment on this channel, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Buraya ilk gelişim değil. Ama bu defa onları yerle bir etmek için buradayım.
Her şey bitti. Çok geç kaldı bu savaşa. Beni orada The mythical beasts fall. Wildcats roar.
Alles stand in Flammen. Aber jetzt ist die Zeit für Rache.
Napotkałem na swojej drodze wiele trudności, jednak tym razem nic mnie nie powstrzyma. ¿Qué demostrar al resto? Que es voluntad brillante.
On vous a manqué. Il est temps de reprendre ce qui nous appartient.